questions?
Yeah, and I know we all hear a lot about how much the federal government values past performance. And if you're trying to break into the federal government, obviously you don't have any past
Check
performance.
an NDA.
Exactly. It's like, you come out of college and it's like, well, I want to get this job. Well, you don't have any experience. Well, I can't get any experience until you hire me. Is it pure folly to think that because you've had a contract at, say, the state and local level of $500,000, that in and of itself is enough of a foundation on which to procure government business of the same scale? So, I've done a $500,000 or $1 million deal with the District of Columbia. Is that going to be a good enough platform from which to procure a government contract of the same scale?
Let's just repeat the question for those in the back that didn't hear. The question really was getting to if you've successfully done work at the state and local level, at some level, say $500,000, is that past performance sufficient to be able to then go to the federal level? Did I capture that?
Yeah, and again, the assumption is not that alone in and of itself is enough to say.
Sure, you have to have capabilities and
right.
skills, et cetera, right? So let's start with Ralph and your perspective, and then perhaps Jose.
Past performance, by its very nature, is an objective sort of an evaluation criteria. It's sort of like the ice skating situation. You have that triple axel, and the guy gave you a 6.1 or something. You go, what? But the thing is past performance is something that is going to, whether the key phrases in past performance are recent and relevant. Okay, so you've done it at the state and local level. That is relevant, and hopefully it's recent. Those are the two things that you have to keep your mind on. Now, you can be graded downward, okay, because Maritza's company might have exactly that work in that agency for that client. Her past performance is going to be rated to yours, higher than yours. The game is not over. You just got to beat her out somewhere else, get that overall award, okay? So when you look at past performance, make sure you look at things that are recent and relevant. That's most important. One other thing I want to say about past performance, especially as it involves a competitive type of a bid, the rules are changing in past performance such that, back in the good old days, I could just kind of tell you what I did, and you took me at my word. Well, now they're sending a questionnaire to that new client, and so I'm submitting to you that the customer relationship between you and your clients had better be very, very, very good, because you don't know what that client is saying to the new prospective client, okay? So keep that in mind, keep recent and relevant in mind, and don't worry about it, because you have other factors, you have costs, you have technical.
Just if you're recent and relevant, it's never going to affect you negatively, right? I mean, it may not be as great as somebody else's. Somebody else may just, have excellent experience. It's exactly the same thing. But if you're recent and relevant, it'll never be a negative for you.
I think getting started, though, and perhaps this is getting to your question, Marissa, maybe you can give an example of how do you get the first one, because it's a chicken and egg, right? You can't get in unless you have past performance. You can't get past performance without getting in.
So we've worked with agencies that actually did accept our commercial past performance. I mean, maybe it was an anomaly, but they did accept the commercial past performance for us when we first started. Our first two contracts were with EPA, and they were actually looking for commercial best practices on what was going on in industry. If you have commercial experience, there is a way that you can position it, that you're able to really bring best practices. The agencies want to know what are the best practices going on in industry right now and how you're helping to push industry forward. So again, it gets back also to the relationships. If you can develop really close personal relationships and let someone just take a risk on you, right, to take a chance. Maybe it isn't about a procurement that is coming out or that that's on the street. Maybe it's about you crafting an opportunity, crafting a solution with a white paper, saying, I'd like to present an innovative solution to you, and then it could be very small, where you're getting it under a simplified acquisition award, and you're basically saying to them, I know that I'm new, take a chance on me, I'm going to, let's create a low risk situation, and it's something called a land and expand strategy. So just get one small piece and then grow that when you're in there. But also what I want to mention is that, you know, I'm sitting up here and it sounds like I've done all these great things that are right. I've screwed up so many times. I mean, I could literally do an 8-hour session on all the mistakes that we've made in the last 19 years, the things that we've lost, the way we've messed up contracts, the wrong hires I've made, the way I've, you know, flushed money down the toilet. I could do a whole day on all of that stuff. And what I will tell you is when you don't get an award, I'm thinking right now of a CMS opportunity we went after. It was us and one other vendor, and we put so much money into it, and we didn't win. It was heartbreaking. And what we do, I mean, I was nauseous. Like, it was horrible. And then we lost another thing with Navy, and we literally lost by 1/2 of 1 percentage point on the rating scale. And it was a multi-million-dollar contract.
Yeah.
Literally 1/2 of 1 percentage point. Again, I was nauseous. But these times, you want to request debriefs, okay? One of the most important things that you can get from these opportunities that you don't win is to request a debrief and get it directly from your customer on why you were only rated average or acceptable and not exceptional. Get the feedback directly from the buyer. And remember, every single thing that you do is a learning opportunity. It's all a teachable moment. And don't get discouraged, because something will happen where you will make that pivot and you will get that contract that is a game changer. But you've got to keep going. You've just got to keep going and build those relationships and ask for people just to take a risk on you.
You can use personal experience coupled with how you're going to make sure that percolates throughout your organization or within that project as a substitute for I don't have any past performance. And with what she said, if you combine the two, you can position. And on the point on debriefings, that is a point that all of you should write down and walk away. Even if you win, ask for a debriefing. Ask for a debriefing. We actually do a training course for our 1,400 contracting professionals that's live debriefings. We actually get people like Marissa and yourselves to come in. We give them a case study, and we have them argue with our COs about, well, we want to know this, we want to know that. So our COs can become more comfortable, our COs and PMs can become more comfortable communicating back. And it's very important to your business. It's also very important to the folks in government to answer those questions and to hear that feedback from you.
I would make one point about what Rosie said, that every RFP is different, and some RFPs specify what the past performance has to look like, both how long ago it can be, both the quality of it, whether the prime has to have the past performance or whether your team does. And so in many cases what we do, and we're a strategy company, and so in many cases what we do is we say, okay, our company client does not have past performance in this agency to win. We've got to find somebody who does. And so we're going to find a company who has past performance and a synergistic relationship with our company. And in that way, we're going to make a proposal that meets all those criteria. So it really depends on the RFP.
My second company, I have no past performance with my second company that's 2 years old. Like I'm registered in SAM, right? I have 20 years of team building and leadership, and when I get into the government on my second company, and I'm like, I have no past performance.
Okay, we are at time, and what I'd like to do is give a round of applause to the panelists. Before you do, I just want to say, remember that the two government folks are taking time out of their day, extremely busy days, and we really appreciate that. And then Marissa, you've got a business to run, and we appreciate the time that she's taken. And Dee Dee?
What? Do we want to give them applause first?
Yeah.